This is ELFM Online Radio Station Chicago. Dimensión Latina FM Radio TV. Baja nuestra aplicación a través de tu iPhone o Android. Búscanos como Dímela FM. Búscanos en TuneIn Radio como Dimensión Latina FM y visita nuestra página web dimelafm.com.
Y ahora Dimensión Latina FM, tu radio por internet, presenta programación en vivo. Estaremos transmitiendo a través del Facebook Live. ¡Comenzamos!
Dimensión Latina FM, tu radio por internet presenta Alas de Amor. Un programa con enfoque en los niños y jóvenes para la salud y bienestar de ellos y sus familias. Conducido por ELSA PRADO. Bienvenidos.
Broadcasting live from Chicago through Dimensión Latina FM. And today we have an event that will be happening here in Oak Brook, Illinois, upcoming soon. And I have Mark Anthony, who is also called the Psychic Explorer. He is an attorney, and then he is also a psychic medium. He's here with us, and he's going to explain to you a little bit more in depth about what he is going to be doing as they are coming to do a presentation through the International Near-Death Studies. And this is the 50th anniversary for this organization. Welcome to the program, Mark Anthony. I'm so honored to have you here. I mean, I cannot believe it. I almost need to be pinched to, really know that this is for real. But tell us a little bit about you for all the people that right now will be becoming just familiar with you, people that don't know you the way I do, and your books and the quality of your books. Tell us a little bit about you and the books, of course, so that if anybody does want to go get your books, which are phenomenal. I have read them, and I have found a lot of help, especially with the death part, because grieving is really difficult for the majority of us. It's really hard for us to let go of our loved ones.
Well, thank you, Elsa. It's an honor to be on your show. And I've been an admirer and a fan of yours for years, so it's great to be working with you again. As you introduced,
thank you.
I'm Mark Anthony, JD Psychic Explorer. The JD is my Juris Doctorate law degree. I'm a fourth generation psychic medium. Now, what that means is that these abilities, the ability to perceive spirits, runs in my family at least back 4 generations. Both my father and my mother had these abilities, and we assume it goes even farther than that, but we can track it back into the 1890s on both sides of the family. And I'm also an Oxford-educated attorney. I'm licensed to practice law in Florida, Washington, D.C., and before the United States Supreme Court. I'm known as the Psychic Explorer because I travel the world examining supernatural phenomenon and ancient ruins, and I'm on a U.S. speaking tour where I'm doing both spirit communication events, like I will be at the IANDS International Association for Near-Death Studies in Oak Brook. I'm also going to be giving a presentation entitled Near-Death Experiences, an Ancient Mystery That Changed the World. My books are Never Letting Go, Evidence of Eternity, and The Afterlife Frequency. My first book, Never Letting Go, is a guide on the journey through grief. And this is for people, and I remember that's when we met, is after Never Letting Go came out.
Right after you published that book, and it's a phenomenal book. I highly recommend it to any person that has ever lost a loved one. I mean, it just helps you it just gives you a better understanding of your loved one crossing the veil, and the experience that we are so still connected, right? Even though the physical body isn't here, we're still connected.
Yes, and Never Letting Go, it's for anyone, like you said, who's coping with the death of a loved one. It's when you're in that shock that I can't believe this happened. It's you can't accept it. It's overwhelming. You don't know where to turn. You feel like you're lost in you're completely lost in the dark night of sorrow. And Never Letting Go is a guide to get you through that. And you brought up an important point, Elsa, is yes, our loved ones, their physical body may have died, but the who and what we are, the spirit does not. And one of the lessons of Never Letting Go is that our relationship with someone we love who has physically died transforms from one of a physical nature to one of a spiritual nature.
Yes.
And there's nothing we can do about the fact that someone we love has died, but what we can do is change how we react to the death, and that is by exploring our own spirituality, understanding the nature of the afterlife. So when I was on the Never Letting Go promotion tour with my manager, Rocky, she's the one who set up this meeting, and I know you and Rocky know each other, and she'll be there in Oak Brook with me as well. People started asking really profound questions, Elsa. Is there a God? Is there a hell? Is there a heaven? My child died by suicide. What happened to them? Do animals have souls? Is there a scientific explanation for the afterlife? And so we kept getting a lot of the same questions. I began to make a list of those questions, and then that began me on the road to write Evidence of Eternity. And Evidence of Eternity is communicating with spirits for proof of the afterlife. And in Evidence of Eternity, and that book was received extremely well.
Yes.
And it was submitted for a Pulitzer Prize, and it was considered for a Pulitzer. And so many people began to contact me, and they said, Mark, we want to hear more about the science, combining science and faith. And that led me on the path to write The Afterlife Frequency, which is also has also been up for a Pulitzer Prize. And The Afterlife Frequency is how proof of spiritual contact and that awareness helps us understand that life is eternal. And I developed and introduced a number of concepts, one of which is the electromagnetic soul, the EMS. And that is a 21st century term to define what we really are, which is pure consciousness, that is a soul, which is eternal electromagnetic energy. And the afterlife frequency has been widely accepted by the scientific community, the afterlife and survival of consciousness researchers. And I've been very humbled and very honored by how it's been received. So those are my 3 books. And I also write for Best Holistic Life magazine. And Best Holistic Life, beautiful magazine, and that's what it is. It's about our holistic life. It's mind, body, spirit. People can subscribe. You can either get an online subscription or buy a hard copy by visiting bestholisticlife.com. And every month I write an article. I love the editor because she said that the readers like my writing, so they give me a fair amount of leeway. But for example, in this month's article, it is entitled "The Miraculous Mission of Dr. Mary Neal and a Spiritual Call to Action." And it's about the world famous near-death experiencer, Dr. Mary Neal, who's come to be a very dear friend of mine. Horrific a way that she was trapped under a waterfall in Chile, underwater for 30 minutes. Her body was crushed and broken, and she left her body and went into the light. Now, what's really fascinating, Elsa, and the reason I'm talking about this is going to be the groundwork for why I'm going to be in Chicago. She encountered many spirits in the divine energy that we would call God. And they communicated to her that one of her sons was going to be killed.
Oh.
Well, it's a long story, and so I want people to read what happened. But
right.
She was resuscitated, defied all medical explanation how she came back to life. And then sadly, a few years later, her son, Willie, was walking along the side of a road when a car swerved off the road by accident and killed him. But in her near-death experience, it was communicated to her that tragedy would lead her on a spiritual path. And for all of us, and I know yourself included, when we've lost a loved one, it triggers the spiritual path. So that's one of the articles that I've written for Best Holistic Life. And then every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. Pacific, I co-host a live stream show, The Psychic and the Doc. And my co-host, Dr. Pat Basili, world-renowned behavioral psychologist. We take calls from listeners. I'll connect callers with their loved ones in spirit in tandem with Dr. Pat's insights, and she helps people understand the full meaning of the message. There's no show like this anywhere. And you can find out about all these things by visiting my website, which is afterlifefrequency.com, just like my book, Afterlife Frequency.
Right. And one of the things that I got to tell our audience and our public is that the way you break it down, the way you explain things makes it easy. You know, it's very, you break it down in simple ways that it makes it very understandable. You know, you don't have to be super prepared in any line of anything in order to understand the way you work and the way you express everything very clearly in very simple terms. So that for me, even as a reader, I found that very comforting. You know, I'm like, oh, I can relate to this and understand it in a very easy way.
Well, thank you. You know what it is? As a trial attorney, when you go in front of a jury, now juries are not stupid. You have a panel, there's 6 or 12 people there, and they all have different life experiences. And the mistake a lot of attorneys make is they go in with the wherefores and the therefores and the legalese, and they talk down to the jury. Jury members may not be familiar with the legal concepts, but they do have common sense. They do have life experience. So you tell them, instead of a vehicle was traveling in a westerly direction across an intersection when it collided with John Smith was on the way home when suddenly a drunk driver crashed into him, changed his life forever. And that's the type of trial lawyer that I was. Plus, I spent so much of my life in law school and the practice of law suffering through boring books. I promise all of you that will not happen in anything that I write. Okay?
Exactly.
I want you to be educated, entertained, with real stories, and also explaining the scientific basis for spirit communication and for the afterlife. You know, my dad was a NASA engineer, and before that he was a Navy SEAL. And when I was a little boy, I'll never forget this, Elsa, we were looking at the stars, and he was telling me, you know, about how far away they were and all this. And he said, you know, Mark, if enough focus, money, and research is put into any question, any mystery, you'll have an answer, and it will be based on science. And that really affected me profoundly. And I always think of that, and I extend that into the spiritual. There is a scientific explanation for the energy that not only makes us alive, but for who and what we are. So this conference that's going to be starting next week on the 27th, but we're doing a pre-conference event on Wednesday, August 27th, and that's going to be at the Oak Brook Hills Resort and Conference Center, 3500 Midwest Road, Oak Brook, Illinois. For tickets, people go to conference.iands.org. Now, IANDS is the International Association for Near-Death Studies. And so on the 27th, which is Wednesday, and the 30th, which is Saturday, in the early evening, you can find this on their website, I'm going to be conducting spirit communication events. And that's where, in front of an audience, I'll be opening up to frequency. Spirits of the attendees' loved ones will come through, and I will facilitate communication between people in the audience and their loved ones in spirit. I've been doing this my whole life, and I've been doing this professionally for almost 20 years because I left the practice of law to focus on this full time. Spirit communication is an extremely important therapeutic step in the journey through grief. And spirits come forth with messages of love, healing, resolution. And you know, ELSA, no matter how many times I do this, when I look in the eyes of somebody and make a connection with one of their loved ones, and you see in the eyes of people who are grieving that horrific pain, and to see just a little bit of that pain be alleviated, that is the most humbling and overwhelming sensation. And every day I thank God that I inherited this ability. And so I will be doing this on Wednesday the 27th and Saturday the 30th at the Oak Brook Hills Resort and Conference Center during the International Association for Near-Death Studies Conference here just on the outskirts of Chicago.
Exactly. And one of the things that I believe is difficult for a lot of people is to connect with their spiritual side because you can't see it. And I think some people have an difficulty just like thinking, how do I know it's real for me to communicate with my spiritual guides? And I think that's like maybe a concept that a lot of people have difficulty with. Like, how do I connect with my spirit guides? Like, how do I know that my loved ones that passed away are still watching over me and they're still sending me messages from above, you know, for my life? So I don't know, maybe you could break it down in a easy way for our audience. But I mean, I think that, you know, in the days, that lifetime that we're in right now, it seems like it's a concept that is hard to grasp for many people.
Well, most certainly it is. But we have to keep in mind that spirit communication is part of the human experience. There have been documented accounts for thousands of years. And the talk I'm giving, Near-Death Experiences, an Ancient Mystery That Changed the World, near-death experiences have been with us since the beginning of recorded history. And I'm going to take the audience on an exciting adventure through time to show you how not only have there been near-death experiences to very prominent people, but how that set into motion a chain of events which has changed the world. You brought up an interesting point. Well, I can't see it, so how do I know it's there? Well, we can't see air, but we know it's there. And without air, we're not, you know, our physical bodies would perish. Can we quantify love? Can we put love under a microscope or subject it to any type of diagnostic testing? But we all know love is a real thing. It's an energy, and it exists. The type of mediumship that I practice, or rather the technique, is called evidential mediumship. For example, ELSA, you know, anyone could say to you, your grandmother's in spirit and she loves you. Well, duh, everybody's grandmother loves them, and probably most grandmothers baked cookies. But when the spirit communicates to me and starts giving me exact pieces of information, things that no one could know. I was doing a reading for this woman, and I don't mean to laugh, but it's a funny story. And her husband came through, and then what a spirit does, they're pure electromagnetic energy. We all are, but they're just
right. We all are, right?
Yeah, and he emitted this wave of frequency into my brain, and the frequency gets converted into recognizable concepts based on my memories, feelings, and cultural associations. So her husband comes through, and all of a sudden I see the 7 dwarves, and I hear, hi ho, it's off to work we go. And then one of the dwarves turns in the vision I'm getting and sneezes at me, and it was Sneezy. Now, I've been doing this long enough to know that no matter how weird it is, you say it. And so I explained this to her, and she said, oh my God. She said, my husband had all these allergies and asthma, and he was always sneezing. And the year before he died, a group of our friends, there was 7 of us, we dressed up as the 7 dwarves for a Halloween party, and he was sneezy.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I just don't fling out the 7 dwarves and sneezing hoping to get a hit.
Right.
Things like that come through, and I can't make this stuff up.
Of course not.
Yeah. And so that's what evidential mediumship is receiving pieces of information that I have no reason to know. Yesterday, I was doing a reading for a woman, and her husband came through, and he started talking about bees, BEES, bees.
Yes, bees.
Bees are a hot topic these days because we got to protect them. Because without bees, there's no life on Earth. And I go, he showed me all these bees, and she started to giggle. And I said, why? Okay, what's so funny? She says, I have tattoos of bees all over me. Now, this was a telephone reading. I couldn't see her. Number one, I didn't know that she had tattoos. Number two, I didn't know that she had several bees all over her. And so this was her husband's way of letting her know that the information he was transmitting to me, number one, was coming from him, and number two, that this was authentic. And then he started giving us even deeper messages. So spirit communication is really fascinating. I study it. I approach it with reverence and faith. I believe it is a gift from God. A lot of people say, mediumship is not of God, but you've got to actually read the entire Bible. And one of my favorite passages is the 2nd book of Corinthians, chapter 12, verses 4 through 12. And there is a list of the gifts that God gives to all of us. 2 of those gifts, one is prophecy, the other is discernment of spirits. Prophecy is the ability to foresee future events. Discernment of spirits, well, that's what I do, is I discern spirits. And it explains that these are gifts from God, and they're to be used with reverence. In the readings that I do, it's all about love, healing, resolution, protection. And what could be better than that?
Exactly. Tell us a little bit more about how important it is, how we live our lives will also bring about a more what's the best way? A better ending to our lives when we depart. Like, it's really important the way we live our life here on Earth. I know you could explain it way better than me, but I really would like, because I've seen how you explain it, I would really like for the audience to get a grasp on how important it is the way we're living our lives. Like, be conscious of how you live and how you treat other people, and those particular basics that they're so important for the outcome of the way you're going to pass.
Every great belief system has a version of the golden rule, which Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In other words, treat people the way you want to be treated. Buddha said, do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself. He's saying the same thing, but it's like, hey, don't do nasty things to people because you don't want those done.
Exactly.
Islam has this, Hinduism has this, Judaism has this, all the belief systems have this. All the belief systems, ELSA, can be boiled down to 2 words: be nice.
Exactly.
It's funny and it sounds simplistic, but then again, it is a challenge because sometimes it is very difficult to treat people the way you want to be treated, especially when they're, being cruel or unkind.
Mm-hmm.
It is important, though, especially with those that we love, to have no regrets. I do so many readings for people that the last words they had with somebody that meant so much to them were short, unkind. I did a reading for this woman, and her father came through, and he was quite wealthy, and he was a very, very mean-spirited person. And she has a brother and a sister, but she was the first one to the hospital, and his health was declining, and before he left, and she got there first, and he said to her, "You're my least favorite child, but you're here." And then he lapsed into a coma. Those were the last things this man said to his daughter. Well, when his spirit came through, he was free of the physical and mental pain, and he apologized. He came through and said, "I am so sorry. You deserve better for that." But think about when the last thing you say to somebody you love before they die is something short or nasty, and then that person dies. And for the rest of your life, you live with that guilt. So it's important for us to do our best with the people in our lives that matter. I'm from an Italian family, okay? You're from a Latino family.
Yes.
I'm from the Mediterranean, and we tend to be very tactile.
Yes.
The men in our family I hug my brother.
Very affectionate. Yes.
We're very affectionate.
Very affectionate.
Yeah, we tell each other we love you. And the last thing that you say to someone you love, even if you're having an argument with them, it's like, "I'm really annoyed with you right now and I gotta go, but I love you." Make sure the last thing you say to everyone you love is, "I love you," because you don't know if that is the last thing you will ever say to that person. I mean, there's so many instances where people say something that's heated, and then the person that they had an argument with, they die for whatever reason, maybe a heart attack
Exactly.
or
Suddenly.
Yeah. So that's always keep your karma good, keep your karma positive. The one thing about karma, it never loses an address. And
never ever loses the address.
Right. So let's only put good deposits into the bank of karma, not negative ones.
Exactly. I'm really looking forward to being able to be there and experience what you'll be doing. It's really going to be an event that you don't want to miss. So we want to invite as many people as we can, allow into the Hilton Chicago in Oak Brook. So, don't waste time. Get your tickets, see what you can do to participate in this. I really believe that you're coming at a time where a lot of people right now are losing faith in a lot of things. There's just a lot of stuff that's going down in the world right now. We're watching a lot of situations that are very unfair.
Yeah.
When it comes to terms of social justice, we're like, where is justice right now? And of course, we have the people complaining about, where is God? Why is God allowing this? But these are things that we have to connect, right?
Yeah.
With our spirituality, and really connect at a level, right? That's gonna let us all be a united front.
Yes.
So that we can come together in these difficult times.
Yes, I'd like to say something also about the conference. The International Association for Near-Death Studies is an organization that was founded to study the phenomenon known as near-death experiences. I think everybody's probably heard of an NDE, a near-death experience, but for those who haven't, it's when somebody physically dies and their consciousness leaves their body. And they may hover around their body, they can see things that are going on, they can hear conversations, but then they may travel through a tunnel into a light, they encounter deceased loved ones, they may even get to the point where they encounter the divine energy that, dare I say, we call God. And then the people, that person comes back to their body. And this organization's been studying this, and this phenomena has been around for thousands of years. I mean, people knew about it, and they were resurrections, these mysterious resurrections. Someone would die, and they come back with these stories that were all very similar. And then in 1975, Dr. Raymond Moody, he was a child prodigy. He had, I think, his third PhD by the time he was in his early 20s. And he released his book, Life After Life, and coined the phrase near-death experience. So now we knew what to call this. Well, this is the 50th anniversary of Dr. Raymond Moody, and he is going to be at the conference. This is a historic, once-in-a-lifetime event. And so for anyone who has a fascination, a curiosity, or you want to know more about life after death, near-death experiences, spirit communication, healing, this conference is packed with the top afterlife researchers in the world. It's one of the great honors of my life that I was asked to be one of the 4 keynote speakers. And there's going to be several other speakers, and of course, Dr. Raymond Moody is going to be there. Dr. Raymond Moody is to afterlife research as Albert Einstein is to physics.
Oh, okay.
To be able to see and hear Dr. Moody and to hear also Dr. Bruce Grayson, who is one of the founders of IANS. He's also going to be there. He's another one of the keynote speakers. This is an incredible opportunity.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this to our community, and for anybody that's really interesting in just, if you're curious about something that you haven't tapped into or tried, go and discover this. See it as something that, it's going to be life-changing, I can tell you, because it is life-changing once you start getting involved and really seeing and understanding what spirit communication is. And how many people we know that have stories about they almost died, but they made it, you know? And, I had my own in childbirth, so I really can identify with everything that you're talking about. And it's really, for people that sometimes doubt or question, God is real. And there is so much that we can learn from these types of events. When it comes to life and things that touch our lives, where we have almost lost somebody, and then either they make it, from being in the ICU, and they make a miraculous turn. And this is precisely, these studies that you were speaking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a near-death experiencer. I was 4 years old. I went into cardiopulmonary failure. I flatlined, and what happened next? Well, if you want to find out, you're going to have to read my book, The Afterlife Frequency. But it's such an honor to be around all these luminaries and all these other people who have gone through near-death experiences. Some of these things have they open up completely new avenues in our thinking. And the cool thing is, ELSA, they've been around for thousands of years. It's just that
Exactly.
now thanks to Dr. Moody, we know what to call them, and thanks to people like Dr. Bruce Grayson and the other researchers, and we've made such great strides, and we're on the very verge of hard scientific proof of the existence of the soul. In other words, that the consciousness, the soul, survives physical death. Now, I know it does because I talk to them all the time. I mean, I facilitate communication, and that's what I'll be doing on Wednesday the 27th and Saturday the 30th at around 5 o'clock at the conference, is connecting people with their loved ones in spirit. But, yes, I'm a man of faith and I'm a medium, but I'm also a man of science. And that's why I really love the scientific proof which backs up all of this. So this is really going to be an amazing experience.
It really will be. I can vouch for that. I was there before for one of Mark's events previously, and I can tell you, you will not be the same person when you leave, because you are going to be connecting in a way where a lot of people don't believe that you can connect. But when you see it with your own eyes, and you see, and you're there, and you can actually, see proof, you will really, truly understand a different level, of vibration, because basically we're all energy, but a lot of us don't understand that for a while. Not everybody knows that we're all energy.
It's difficult to understand because we're talking about quantum physics. And I'll be explaining some of my concepts in my presentation. And people will say to me, that's really hard to wrap my head around. And my response is, you think? It did take Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Werner Heisenberg, Louis de Broglie, Mileva Einstein, Albert's wife, Niels Bohr, some of the greatest minds humanity has ever produced to develop quantum physics. And I remember when I was working on the afterlife frequency, that I was trying to figure out this one concept with physics, and suddenly this quote from Werner Heisenberg came up. And Werner Heisenberg, he's right up there with Albert Einstein. And the quote said, "When you think you understand quantum physics, you really don't." ELSA, I started laughing so hard. I felt so good about myself, because if Werner Heisenberg had difficulty completely grasping it, it made me feel better, because yes, we can understand the concepts, but we're talking about the very essence of creation itself. We're talking about the energy that interconnects and binds all of us, everything in our material world universe. I mean, is this God? Is this definitely the work of God? Is this part of being a cell in the body of God? And these are some of the profound questions in the field of afterlife research that we have to pose. And these are some of the questions that will be posed and discussed at IONS. And what we have to understand is no one person has all the answers. We may have insights, and we may have theories, and we may even have scientific discoveries, but this is an ongoing process. And this, to me, is, I think, the ultimate objective, or the ultimate discovery in science will be objective, non-refutable proof of the existence of the soul, the afterlife, and God itself, or himself, or herself, or their self.
Exactly. I agree with you there. I mean, it's just, I think it brings you to such a different level and such a different dimension that we're not accustomed to being in. So of course it's kind of hard to just grasp it initially, but once you start understanding it and you start channeling into it, it's amazing. It's an amazing experience. It really is.
It's also very comforting when you realize that someone that meant so much to you did not disintegrate into nothingness. I do a lot of work with an organization known as Helping Parents Heal. And I highly recommend people that have lost a child go ahead and do an internet search of Helping Parents Heal. And I've been very honored to be keynote speaker at a number of their conferences. And actually, they just asked me to be another keynote speaker at their conference next year in Phoenix. I believe it's going to be in August. And nothing is more devastating than losing a child. Okay, when we lose our parents, that's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. But to lose a child, it upsets the whole nature of the whole balance of nature. I mean, we're supposed to go before the kids, and no
Definitely.
parent ever have to go through that. But unfortunately, many do. And I remember the first time I spoke at Helping Parents Heal, I was standing on a stage in front of over 1,000 parents who've lost children, and the anguish and the sorrow. And Helping Parents Heal, they believe that you can heal, and they refer to themselves as shining light parents, because there's a word for an orphan, a person who's lost their parents.
Yes.
We have the word widow and widower, but there's no appropriate term for a parent who's lost a child. People say bereaved parents, and shining light parent is really a beautiful term, because it means that the light of the love that you have for your child continues to shine in your heart, and the shining light of your child's soul shines eternally in the afterlife. And so shining light parent and helps take a person out of the mist, the fog, that tar pit of misery and grief, and helps you get through that. So Helping Parents Heal is an absolutely beautiful organization. I can't say enough good things about it. That's what I love about what I do. I work with IANS. I work with Helping Parents Heal. I work with the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment. I work with the San Diego Transcendence Retreat and the Sedona Ascension Retreat. I work with the Omega Institute and so many other organizations throughout the country. I'm a member of the Science and Medical Network out of the United Kingdom. And all these organizations are working on helping people understand the existence of the afterlife, the soul. They're all helping people to understand that physical death is not the end. If people ask me, do you have a message? And the message was given to me by the spirit of my mother. And it was about 2 weeks after she died. She came to me and said, Mark, it is your life's mission to help people understand that God exists, that heaven, the afterlife, whatever you want to call it, exists. That souls are immortal living spirits, that humans can communicate with souls, and that all of us will be reunited when it is your appointed time to leave your world and come into the light that you call God. Wow.
She left you quite a mission.
Yes, she did. And it is a lot to deal with. And once again, every day, all I can say is thank you, Mom, and thank you, God.
Exactly. Absolutely. So for anybody that's interested in coming to this event, now you just got a taste of it, a taste of what you have to learn, to educate yourself from. It is a very educational experience. I highly encourage you all to participate and to come to this event. I believe that you will get a lot from it, and I can vouch for it myself. The books are amazing. I can't even explain it, but I can tell you that you will find a big sense of healing from the books. And I believe that we all need to nurture our souls, and your books are very nurturing when we're talking about our souls in that respect.
Thank you.
So I hope everybody comes. We're not going to be giving you the whole entire program here. Of course not, because we really want you to attend. It's a couple of days, right? How many days can they participate in?
Well, the pre-event, my spirit communication event is going to be 5 o'clock on Wednesday, the 27th. But the conference begins in earnest on Thursday, the 28th, Friday, the 29th, Saturday, the 30th, and Sunday, the 31st. So it is going to be action-packed. There's going to be all types of events. They're going to have the main keynote speakers, other speakers, and there's going to be healing sessions. There's going to be like a discussion circle for near-death experiencers. There's all types of incredible discussions, learning experiences going on. They're also going to show a documentary about the life of Dr. Raymond Moody and his ongoing work. I mean, Dr. Raymond Moody, he's no spring chicken. I mean, he's gotten up in years, but the really amazing thing is, and I know him personally, and he's just the nicest guy. And he is going to keep going. I mean, he is just continuing his research and his discoveries and his writing, and just getting the opportunity to hear him speak, I think is going to, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So
exactly.
For everybody, get out there. And also, like I said, I'll be doing spirit communication and my talk, and several of my colleagues will be there. So this is going to be an event that literally is out of this world.
It is. And you all got, the agenda now. And so you have many reasons to attend and participate. I really hope that we have a good gathering and that people come out and really partake in something so unique. I mean, I that's the only word I can think of. It's very unique. This is not anything that you have probably been to before, so it's really special. And enrich your minds, enrich your souls, and bring yourself with that knowledge that you're going to have an enriching experience for yourselves, So we'll see you there. And I know that I can't take Mark's evening, so I will say thank you so very much for being on Wings of Love, and that everybody that has been able to see this much will be there. And once again, the event will be at the in Oak Brook at the Hilton Chicago, correct? Hilton Chicago Resort.
Hilton Chicago Hilton Chicago Oak Brook Hills Resort and Conference Center, 3500 Midwest Road, Oak Brook, Illinois, starting the evening of Wednesday, the 27th, with my spirit communication event, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for amazing speakers and activities. So I hope to see all of you there. Many blessings. Thank you, Elsa. It's great being on Wings of Love. God bless you. And to all the listeners, please keep tuning in to Wings of Love. Elsa is one of the earth angels that makes this world a better place. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you for your kind words, Mark. And with this, we will say goodbye. Until next time, many blessings to you all. And see you soon. See you Wednesday. See you soon. Bye-bye.
aquí llegamos con nuestra programación en vivo. Gracias por tu sintonía. Gracias por tu sintonía. Dimensión Latina FM, tu radio por internet.